I believe in Frank Capra. I believe in Frank Capra's America. I believe in Frank Capra. I believe in Frank Capra's romance. I believe in Frank Capra. I believe in Frank Capra's charm, his intent, his worldview. I believe in cinema. And I believe in Frank Capra. And I believe that Frank Capra believes in me. It Happened One Night is one of my three favorite films ever. It's one of the most perfect movies ever made. So much has already been said about this film by so many different kinds of people from all sorts of different backgrounds. And I just think it's perfect. I think it's one of the most perfect films ever made. It's certainly the most perfect screwball comedy ever designed. It has my favorite script ever written. And of course, all the legends surrounding this movie, like Clark Gable didn't want to be here. He was drunk half the fucking time. Claudette Colbert definitely did not want to be here. She was just a complete a complete brat on set all of the time. She hated Capra because they worked together before in a silent film that's now lost. By the way, I can't believe it's lost. Oh, but she was terrible to work with. Nobody wanted to make this film. Nobody but Frank Capra. And then when it came out, everyone fell in love with it. It's my favorite Frank Capra film. And it might be oddly controversial now to tell you that I think Frank Capra is one of the greatest directors that ever lived. John Cassavetes has a really great quote. Of course, John Cassavetes, darling of the American independent scene, said, maybe America never really existed. Maybe it was all just Frank Capra. But let's think about that. Let's dwell on that, because Cassavetes chose his words carefully there. America is an invention by a lot of different people, but the modern idea of America is certainly Capra-esque, isn't it? Frank Capra truly invented what we see as American virtues, the virtue of the underdog, the virtue of the individual above all else, the virtue of the virtuous. Frank Capra is an incredible filmmaker because he probably did one of the most incredible things. This is outside of his simple propaganda films. I'm talking about It Happened One Night. I'm talking about You Can't Take It With You, or Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. Hole in the Head. Frank Capra is brilliant. Absolutely incredible. I mean, he created the ethos of a country. He gave character to America. And it's a character that we're still emulating, or we're still personifying through our popular film or in our actual behavior. And this is where it gets controversial. I don't think it's an improper view. I think it's moralistic, of course, sentimental, for sure. But are we so nihilistic now that Frank Capra's world is just seems so antiquated that it's funny? No, obviously. There's a huge part of the cinematic character that responds well to Capra because it's not just for Americans. These are like worldwide phenomena hits. Frank Capra invented the American ethos, and we are still personified by films like It Happened One Night, which is one of the most romantic things I've ever seen. Whereas to get moralistic, well, even though this was made before the Hays Code came into effect, as you see here on the cover, the barrier here that Clark Gable playfully calls the wall of Jericho that keeps them separated. And you're like, oh, ugh, because they're not married to each other. So they don't. So this keeps as a barrier, an obstacle between the two unbelievably charismatic characters full of such chemistry between them, this barrier keeps them separated as an obstacle. So how does Capra handle the situation? He eroticizes the obstacle. I mean, this is an incredible screwball romance without a single kiss in it, without a single kiss of direct passion. And Capra does that by eroticizing the boundary, eroticizing the barrier. For in that scene, the first time they put up this barrier, like we can see like Claudette Colbert undressing. We see like the bare of her back, or we see Clark Gable's bare chest. We see this incredible lighting. Capra, everyone likes to like make fun of Frank Capra or things that are Capra-esque, but you know what's truly Capra-esque? Eroticizing morality and making it seem attractive. Because in that scene, the camera work is so beautiful, the lighting is so sexy, and the characters are so moving. Frank Capra eroticized the barrier. He made moralism attractive. Because when they get to bring it down and they play their trumpet, you cheer, and yet you never see them kiss. But your heart swoons. This is a film that makes you feel so happy. This is a film that makes you feel so giddy with joy. Scenes that have lived forever, etched in cinematic stone. Claudette Colbert showing how to truly held down a car as a hitchhiker. And I love the story behind it. She said she wasn't gonna do that, Frank. I'm not gonna do that, Frank. I'm not gonna bare my leg. He's like, fine, I'll get this chorus girl to do it. And she's like, mortified. No, those are not my legs. I have incredible legs. And yes, she does. There's some actress who turned down the role and then later said of the part, well, Claudette had the legs for it. She was so fucking good. You can't tell that they hated each other, that they didn't want to be there, that they hated being involved with the project, and most importantly, that Claudette hated Frank Capra. You can't tell that. It's perfectly put together. And it's a perfect road movie. And through the road movie, you really get the character of America, the ethos of America, with them all singing songs, Woody Guthrie style, on a bus together with all these like wild people that you meet on the road, on the American road, of the American character. And Frank Capra is truly forging the American spirit through a highway, through the bus, within the Depression, which is represented here. It is not ignored here. Capra opens up a dialogue with the Depression. It represents Depression, and it's not presented as direct escapism. It's directed as it's composed to be philosophical or sentimental. The philosophy of American sentimentality is here, of individualism, of the truly Caparesque, is here, and it happened one night. It converses with the Depression. It converses with the American body politic. It converses with America as it creates America. Frank Capra is such an incredible filmmaker. He's one of the best filmmakers that ever lived. And it's not about being misunderstood by a new generation of people. I don't care if you don't recognize Frank Capra as a complete genius, as one of the probably 3 greatest directors that ever lived. I don't care if you view him that way or not. You're living in his America. Whether you like it or not, or whether you admit it to yourself, you're living in Frank Capra's cinematic invention. And let me tell you something. A Frank Capra film makes you feel valued. Makes you feel like you have inherent value, an intrinsic value within yourself. Not simply because you live in America. He's not that simplistic. But because you have desire. But because you matter. Because you're smart and clever and witty and attractive. And you are part of this American character, this great American whirlwind. You're part of that. You're part of that bus heading down the highway. I believe in that bus. I believe in this woman and how beautiful she is. I believe in this man and how charming he can be. I believe in this barrier and how sexy it can make us feel, how much more we want each other, how this obstacle makes us want each other more. And I believe in the moralism behind it. And I believe that one day romance will be without a border. I believe in romance. I believe in America. I believe in the road. I believe in comedy. I believe in Frank Capra, and I believe in me. Frank Capra's film, yeah, is one of the 3 greatest films of all time. It gets the Your Cult Boyfriend infinite stamp of approval, the eternal stamp of approval from me. Because we're living inside Frank Capra's America. Because if you think of it, not just America, if you think of America, you most likely think cinematically, and you may not know it, but you're thinking of Frank Capra's world. It all goes back to Cassavetes with that incredible quote, maybe America never existed, maybe it was all Frank Capra. Well, Frank Capra invented it. It exists. We're living within it. I don't think it really existed before. We're living inside of his sentimental worldview of a country that he loved, full of people that he found virtuous, or at least full of people that he knew had stories, had archetypes that could be immortalized on film. These 2 here, Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert, are so sexy. They are so funny. The chemistry is outrageous. This film makes me laugh nonstop, and it makes my heart yearn, and it takes my breath away. It's one of the most perfect films ever made. It's probably the most perfect American film ever made. And I love what it says about America without having to scream it at you. I just love the fact that the American character is kind of designed here during the early days of the talkie. This informed America and the American character, and I'm so glad that a large part of us, of our culture, is still personified by things that could only be described as Capra-esque. I believe in the cinema. To believe in Frank Capra's cinema is to believe in Frank Capra's America and his underdog heroes, in his virtue. I believe in Frank Capra's virtue, and I believe in Frank Capra's America. I believe in Frank Capra's cinema, and I believe that all of those things believe in me. Thanks for watching Your Cult Boyfriend. Go watch It Happened one night. I'm gonna watch it again. Honestly, I am. Sometimes I say that and I don't. I don't end up doing it, but I'm gonna watch it again tonight. I've watched it over and over. I love the film. It's like the most perfect film ever made. So I adore every second of it. I've got a big old crush on Frank Capra's perfect little screwball comedy.